Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. The new microphone is just causing so much static, and I'm so frustrated with it. So I'm going back to the old microphone today. I was trying to read how to get rid of the static, and I think you could do it when you edit the videos, but I don't know how to do that. I think it said something about an amplifier, so I may have to look into getting an amplifier. But I'm tired of having all the static for you, and I really appreciate you hanging with me while I'm dealing with all these technical difficulties, because I do not have a degree in audio production. So, if this is your first time joining me, then I'm excited to have you here on my channel. If you've been with me from the beginning or somewhere along the journey, I am so glad you are returning, and I am so appreciative that you are here. Today is the first day of season 3.3. Why 3.3? Well, because we finished reading Eleni's Pride regrouping on Friday, and this Friday we will get a new plot or a continued plot to share and write with. And also, Eleni's Pride has 3 books. Subtitle of book 3 is Gaining Freedom. So we had Eleni's Pride, Breaking Point, Eleni's Pride, Regrouping, and then the 3rd book is Gaining Freedom. Now, let's start our review. What did we learn in season 3? We'll start with the vocabulary that we did on Tuesdays, and those were the odd numbers of episodes. And then we'll go in and list the writing prompts on Tuesdays. And of course, the story was on Fridays, which were the even episodes. And I won't necessarily mention which chapter we did on what day. You can figure that out. The first Tuesday, so episode 1, we actually reviewed season 3.1 and gave us all the vocabulary and writing prompts that we did then. Then episode 3, we discussed reflexes and emotional reactions. Episode 5, we had the terms benevolent, malevolent. Episode 7, we discussed cumulate and culminate. Very close in pronunciation there, but they did mean some different things. If you need to review any of these, please go back to those episodes. Episode 9, we looked at snaffle and pernicious. Episode 11, we explored the terms abdicate and advocate. Again, those are very close in pronunciation, but they do mean different things. Episode 13, we looked at sporadic and spontaneous. We only looked at one term in episode 15, and that was pariah. And I told you I got that term from The Lawyer You Know, one of the episodes that I watched with him and his dad. Episode 17's vocabulary was despotism and philanthropic. Episode 19's vocabulary was paradigm and charlatan. Episode 21's phrases, we actually did some phrases, were red herring and smoking gun. Now, of course, you can't use those phrases if they're not in your time period or the setting, from the setting you chose. But we did look at what they mean in today's time. And then we looked at the term innocuous. In episode 23, we looked at concede, contempt, and contrive. Episode 25, we discussed possessives and atrophy. Episode 27, we looked at malfeasance and prefixes. In episode 29, we explored familiars, the little pets that you have, or the magical creatures that aid you. Episode 31, our terms were flummox and agitate. Episode 33, our terms were vitriol, nihilism, and entrenched. Episode 35's terms were axiom and epitome. Episode 37, we discussed diabolical and the evil creatures of Hydra. and Leviathan. In episode 39, we looked at hedonistic, ascetic, and inconspicuous. In episode 41, we looked at meritocracy, mediocrity, denigrating, and capitulate. So those were the first two were some close pronunciations as well. In episode 43, we looked at anarchy and animosity. In episode 45, we looked at contingency and contemplate. Episode 47, we discussed cacophony, mendaciously, omnipotent, and omnipotent. Episode 49's vocabulary was caveat, stymie, viciously, divert, and demeanor. Episode 51, we looked at impunity, placate, and plunder. Wow. That was a lot of vocabulary. Like I said, feel free to go back and rewatch any episode if you don't remember the term or how we played with it. And in all that vocabulary, there were a lot of ideas for us to use with our writings. Leave comments on your favorite terms or terms you found useful in plotting out your stories. Now, our cave stories. We added to our cave stories in episodes 3, 11, 19, 27, 35, 43, and 51. And those were parts 11 through 17 that we did in this season, or last season. Now we had a down soldier that we added to. We added to it in episodes 5, 13, 21, 29, 37, and 45. And that was part 4 through part 9. We wrote on our stories that started with a setting in episodes 7, 15, 23, 31, 39, and 47. That was part 3 through part 8. So, leave a comment on which writing prompt you're enjoying the most, or leave a comment on if you're stuck on one and you don't know which way to go next. And of course, in that case, if that is the case, then I suggest you reread your whole thing. Just reread it. After a few days, put it down. You're frustrated, put it down. Go back a few days later, reread it, and get your juices flowing again. Kind of figure out where you were headed, and maybe you had some ideas that you got distracted with this other idea and you followed that, but this other idea was important to interlace things. So you can go pick that idea back up, and rereading, you can find, mistakes. Always you're going to find mistakes. Nobody's perfect. You're always going to find mistakes. So you fix the mistakes. Sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, what? I don't get that. And I have to just pause. I was like, oh, okay, I typed this word. I should have typed that word. And, your fingers get flying so fast that sometimes you just don't type exactly what you think you do. So you can fix those things. It's very helpful to reread your work and to edit it. We did a lot of writing. We did a lot of writing. We had 3 Tuesdays in a row where we wrote, and then we had a Tuesday where we had just vocabulary. Hopefully, we're meeting our writing goals for ourselves. I don't know what your goals are. Leave those in the comments. Are you on track to make your writing goals for the year? Did you finish the NaNoWriMo challenge? I'm on track for the year. As of the writing of this script, my average was around 630 words per day. I do an average because some days I don't write. Some days I might write 3,000 words. I'll leave comments if I join the NaNoWriMo challenge this year so you can know. I did do it last year. It was fun. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that story, but it was fun. That novel. The even episodes, of course, which were Fridays, we read Eleni's Pride Regrouping. And the story started in the previous season, 3.1, and then last season, 3.2, the regrouping. it started in season 1 with the villagers just trying to save their lives and scattering all over the place. And in that book, we found several linkers, and they started learning magic. The second story, the rest of the people try to come together because the village is destroyed, their garden is destroyed. They're trying to come together to form a new kingdom. But near the end, King Damontate is looking for them because he's hungry and he wants taxes and he wants to get his food from these people. And so he's looking for them. And so he destroys the remaining bits and pieces of the kingdoms. His soldiers are also searching for food. Like I said, we've run into a few that were just, they weren't trying to destroy any more. They weren't looking for people. They were just looking for food to feed everybody. So the rest of the people found a place they could live and train the linker. So they tried at first some of the kingdoms that were remnants or rubble, remnants, whatever. Then they decided just to fly and find some place that they could set up to live. And they found some mountains in the north. And they hoped that King Damontate would always fly south. Excuse me. So they moved north. And this season, we will regaining freedom. We will have a 6-year time jump. So you know that they had to train. You know some of what they were training to do. You don't need to see all of that. So I'll do a 6-year time jump, put you into where they're going to start their fight, or pretty close to when they're starting their fight. We don't need to look at all the hiding and training they did. You can imagine that. It's not that exciting, So we did time jump. And that's a wonderful thing you can do in a book. We've talked about flashbacks and foreshadowing and stuff like that, where you can get snippets of things. But you can also do a time jump and get to where your story is, you're trying to build that interrelated stuff. The interrelated is what you need. You don't need the boring parts, right? People can imagine that they did jumping jacks in PE class in elementary. They did sit-ups in elementary. They did all that stuff. They don't need all that. We can imagine that. Now, leave a comment on if you joined me in writing on this shared plot and if you plan to continue. And I told you don't have to have 3 books. You can have 1 book. And I've structured the plot in a way to where you can just follow the whole plot. I've written it out to where it's 3 different ones. Or you can do it just as one whole. Join me Friday for our new plot, which I just talked about, so we can continue Eleni's Pride. I named the 3rd book Gaining Freedom. And we will hopefully see them gain their freedom. But at what cost? You are welcome to put our next plot at the end of the first 2, or to even intermingle the 3 plots. When I put it out for you, and I'll give you the 3rd plot, and then I'll put the 3rd plot at the end of the first 2. But you don't have to do it that way. You can intermingle the plot however it fits your story. And let your creativity reign. Join me Tuesday for us to add to a story with a downed soldier and some more jargon. Our order for writing prompts will be a downed soldier, and that doesn't have to be your title. That's just something we know what to call it. And then the story that started with the setting. Then we'll have a week of just jargon, and then your cave story. And the reason I did that is because we ended the last season with cave stories, so we just had that. So it kind of give it the same order. The only thing is that we had the review today and the plot next week to kind of interrupt our flow of what we were doing. Then we'll just pick up the flow again that we had. I will throw in some jargon each week. It is amazing. Sometimes I go back and it's like, what did we even learn? And then I go to make this episode, the review, talk about all this vocabulary. It's like, oh yeah, we did. We talked about that and that and that. So we've covered a lot of vocabulary in this channel. If you or preparing for SAT tests, you can look at some of the jargon that way too. It might help you remember it better that way. I don't know, but I do it for us to write with. Now, don't forget to send your writing prompts and your chapters to WritewithMykela@gmail.com. All work shared on the channel are copyright protected. There is no worry. In between days, in between Tuesday and Friday and Tuesday, don't forget to visit my website, bymykela.com, and read some character bios. Also, visit my coach's blog, authorchristianlamb.com. Leave comments on anything you read on either my website or her blog. If you hit the like and subscribe and the bell, then we will continue to write together. Also, when you hit the like or you comment, that will push the channel out there so we can build our community of writers. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. I appreciate you hanging in with all the bad sound quality that we've had. And if you know someone who would like this video, then please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.